Welcome to Captain of Industry. My name is Corporal Hobbs, and we are back in our design mini-series. So this is part 2. You can check out part 1 if you want to see my whole design process, the basics of it, and a step-by-step walkthrough. You should be able to see that up in the corner now. But jumping back into this series, what I want to do today is look at setting up aluminum and titanium. So that is going to be the idea. So let's look at titanium first. So titanium production, I'll start with our cooled caster here. So titanium, I need molten titanium alloy mixed with some water, and that will make me 24 titanium alloy. Looking at the consumption, there's 3 recipes that need titanium. So I need it for composite cores, compact reactors, and rocket 2s, meaning that this is a very end game process. Rocket 2 is here at the very end of the tech tree. The compact reactors are here at the very end, and those go into our asteroid booster parts. The Rocket 2s are for our space program to more efficiently send up cargo to our space station compared to the Rocket 1. And then the other one, let's see, what was it? Yeah, the compact cores, those are used for our station parts, which you can think of as maintenance for the space station. So I'm going to need this production as well. But a lot of this is all space related. That's the only use for it. So that's one of those things that you would take into consideration when you are looking at your item that you are trying to produce, is where are you going to be producing it? So let's jump over to the island, and then we can look at some of the constraints that I am currently working around in my current Let's Play series. So we'll jump over there, and then I'll see you in a moment. Okay, loading into my Let's Play series for Captain of Industry. The thing I want to take into account for where I am going to place this blueprint, I want to look at my current production setup. So currently I am producing all of the anything that takes raw ore over here on this section of my island. Then all the production goes through into my storages, and then I'm using a main bus kind of concept from Factorio, where I have all of my production going down this way. I have my main bus of belts and pipes and U-shaped conveyors to carry all the material down, and then my settlement, and then my food processor. But for titanium and aluminum, I want to be able to fit it in over here somewhere. So I will probably have the storages. What I could do is incorporate like a large storage like this, and then run the belts through, and somewhere over here have these storage boxes. Maybe on this side, because none of these processes are going to take aluminum or titanium that I'm using. So what I could do is clear back some of these belts here that are just ghosted down, and then have my storage box for titanium and aluminum, because that's going to go down here. And I think all of my production requiring those items, I'm going to try and fit in over here. So that's the rough idea for the layout design for this blueprint, taking that into consideration. The other thing is looking at constraints. So I'm thinking, because there's going to be some items that I need from over here, as well as all of my train stations for dropping material off are going to be over here. So these 2 stations are going to handle the titanium ore and bauxite. So I will need to run these belts up and through to here, and then have a location over here to store the bauxite and aluminum, or the bauxite and titanium. So I could incorporate something similar to what I used for my yellow cake production, where I have the storage boxes kind of looped around like this, instead of in a direct line like they are over here. So what I could do what I'm thinking of doing is right here in this open area, if I look, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these tiles available to make my blueprint in. And I would like easy access to this tile of all these different belts and pipes. This is where a lot of my inputs are coming in. So say coal, limestone, water, hydrogen, graphite, stuff like that that I might need for this blueprint. So taking into account that I have 6 squares, that will be my size constraint. Length, I have plenty of length here to fit everything in, so that won't be really too much of a concern. So I'll just remember 6 tiles and then go back to our test island. Okay, so we are back here on the sandbox. So let's look at our titanium. Let's put down everything we need for titanium processing. So we have our cool caster. To make the molten aluminum, we need a alloy mixer. So we'll put one of those down. To make the molten titanium, I need a arc furnace. So I'll put that down. The main ingredient I need to make that molten titanium is titanium sponge. So I will put that down as well. To make that titanium sponge, the main ingredient is titanium chloride pure. So I will put down the distillation stage 3. To make that titanium chloride pure, I need titanium chloride. And we get that from this chemical plant. And the main item I need to create this recipe is going to be titanium slag, which comes from another arc furnace. So that titanium slag is a byproduct. That titanium ore is what I need to start this whole process. So we'll go through that. So this is kind of phase 1. We're taking care of phase 1 from my basics tutorial. So we have our titanium ore that we get from mining, ore contracts, or asteroids, stuff like that. But we take that, turn that into titanium ore crushed. Titanium ore crushed will go into our arc furnace, mixed with some graphite and some water. So nothing too crazy yet. And then the titanium slag that comes out from that process will be, there's molten iron here as well. So yeah, let's start going through all the extra stuff. So molten iron, let's look. Do I have anything here that is using coal at the moment? Because then I could use a blast furnace. Doesn't look like it. So instead of using a blast furnace, I will stick with a arc furnace. Well, I don't need it at the moment. Instead of iron, I want steel, which means I need one of these oxygen furnaces. And I'll kind of keep that in line here so I know. So the molten iron will go to our molten steel here and our oxygen furnace. We need graphite and water, so let's just start putting down all of our inputs. So I know I need titanium ore. I know I need graphite. I know I need water. So we got that. That handles everything up to there. And now let's do the oxygen. We're going to do same process, just a air separator from our steel build in the last part 1. The nitrogen we'll just get rid of for now. Exhaust, we are going to incorporate exhaust scrubbing. So let's do that, or take that into account. So we have all of that. The other option is steam low. We always need more water, or it's always nice to have the option to make more water. So I'll put down a thermal desalinator for now. The other option is using a smokestack. So I'll keep these guys together. This is our exhaust here. The next thing we're going to need is chlorine. So chlorine, we can make that from brine. So I'll put the brine down here. To make the brine, I will use a mixer with some salt, which means I need to add salt as a input. So yeah, we'll have graphite, that's good. We'll need salt, so I'll add that in over here. So salt. We will have slag as an output, so we'll put that down as well. Slag. We have our exhaust. This is also going to create slag as well as steam low. Carbon dioxide, that means we will have a chemical plant to create some of the graphite, so we can kind of reuse it in the build. So we got that. Anything else? We're going to have water and brine as an output, potentially. So water, brine, which means this salt may not get used, depending on how we set everything up. If we are making enough brine here, but that will come later once we have all the buildings down. So we have all of this handled. This carbon dioxide can also get fed over here to our chemical plant, so we'll keep it right here for now. We'll do that. The other thing that we're going to have as an output is sulfur. So let's add in a sulfur bin. So there's that. So that gets us up to here. Now we need steam. Steam. There's a couple different methods that we could use to produce steam. What do we have as outputs? Just looking to see if there's anything here that we can use to produce that steam as a fuel source. Is there anything over here that we can use? Doesn't look like it. Okay. So when it comes to steam, we will need to come up with a way of doing it. There's a easy way of doing it with a boiler electric, except for it would cost us 9 megawatts of power. So that's one option. The other option we could do is we could do fuel gas. I know on my island I'm doing the trade for, let's see, the rock and dirt export for fuel gas. So I have plenty of fuel gas available, so we might end up doing this recipe. That gives us carbon dioxide that we can make into even more graphite to help supply this production. So that might be an option. So that gets us the steam that we need over here. We are going to have depleted steam. Now, depleted steam, what we could do with that is we can vent it. We can put it into a cooling tower, which would be the same for this guy over here. So we'll add one in. So we'll do something like that. So we can take the depleted steam or the steam low and convert it right into water. We can also just vent it if we get backed up on the system. The other option is setting up a thermal desalinator, using that depleted steam to make some more water and some more brine. So those are the options we currently have. And we'll have that depleted steam. So that takes care of that building. For this one, we need salt anyways. So that means we'll probably end up needing salt. I don't think we'll have enough brine input to cover this. So that is something to consider. We need chlorine for this section over here as well. So that's something to consider when we are trying to route everything. But that does mean that we have everything else accounted for. We already have graphite, we already have water accounted for. We already have something for steam low, we have something for exhaust in the form of our exhaust scrubbing. So that's fine. The other thing we need to take into account is our molten aluminum. So molten aluminum, we will need to set up a aluminum production. And so in this case, because of the design on this blueprint, it's going to be getting pretty big here. What I will do is I will separate this out. So I will come out at an angle here. That way I have my titanium buildings here, my aluminum buildings here, and then kind of make two like pathways for this material to come in, just so I can see it visually. So I need 12 molten alumina. I make 24 from here. The other option I could use as well is taking in aluminum scrap. So I could take aluminum scrap that we get from recycling and make molten alumina this way. And that would just be graphite and water and all the same outputs that you would have for your titanium alloy, your molten titanium here. So it's kind of a mix here, so I'll keep it with the aluminum stuff. For aluminum, let's work backwards. So I need the alumina. I'm going to do the fuel gas recipe one for our rotary kiln because I already plan on bringing in fuel gas over here for steam. So I can use those same inputs and outputs. To make the hydrated alumina, I am going to need a chemical plant. To get that running, I need the bauxite crushed, which means I will take bauxite, crush it into bauxite ore. The red mud, I will need to dispose of that, and there's two different ways I could do that. So one recipe is mixing it with acid and limestone. That will generate slag and some iron ore crushed. The other option is taking some seawater and some limestone and just turning it directly into slag. At this point, I'm not sure exactly which way I want to do this yet. Then let's see, over here, carbon dioxide, we could feed that in with our graphite production over here. So we have that semi taken care of already. We have our carbon dioxide outputs going over to our graphite. We have our graphite production, our inputs already marked for that. So aluminum's not too crazy. It's not that big of a production chain compared to titanium. So we have this as the basic process. So we need bauxite. We need some brine as well over here. So let's put this guy in, which means I will need salt. I will need water. Over here, I am going to need limestone. I could potentially need acid if I decide to use this recipe, which means I will need a mixer for that, which means I will need sulfur as a potential input. Then we have seawater. That's going to be a input. If I decide to go the other recipe, we will have slag as an output. So I'll just copy this one over here. I am going to need fuel gas as an input. So we'll put that down. And anything else? Slag out. Iron ore crush. So iron ore crush, what we could do with that is make some more molten iron. In that case, let's do a arc furnace Mark II that I can handle up to 48 iron ore crushed. I need limestone, water, and graphite already, and that's already accounted for in the build. The steam low and exhaust and slag are already accounted for in the build. So this would just be getting us a little bit more molten iron production, which means I will need this whole process over here as well. Let's go this way. Which means I will also need the steel for the oxygen furnace. Oh, I already got that. So there's that. And then for the steel itself, I will be putting that into a cool caster. So same over here. So that handles the iron ore crushed out. This rotary kiln's good, and this one's good, and then we will do a cool metal caster here for the aluminum. And so now we can kind of rotate this again, and I'll move this down over here so I can kind of keep it in line. So I am making bauxite or brine already, part of this process over here. So I'll get rid of that. I will combine my acid production. Actually, I'll keep it here for now. So I'll move that down. The scrap aluminum, I'll keep that right there, which means I can bring in some more aluminum scrap. So that could be a potential input. So we have all of our inputs kind of figured out. Let's see, what's a good way of doing this? Let's look at aluminum. So aluminum goes into a number of different recipes and different parts of our base, depending on what we want to do with it. So we need composite panels. Those are what make the rockets, as well as the composite cores for the space station maintenance. So that's a space section. So what I'll do is lay this out over here, so I can get an idea of all the different products I need. Oops. This is an assembler, so I'll keep that over there. And then this is an assembler. So these would be going to the same location because chemical fuel is used to make those station parts. Same with the composite panels. And the solar cell monos. So all three of these are going to be kind of in one location for what I need it for. And then the consumer electronics actually go to my settlement. So there's two separate builds here. If I want to plan around production numbers, let's make something tileable for when it comes to this. That way I can easily expand titanium and aluminum production. So that comes to the layout design of, do I want to have aluminum expandable on its own without needing to double up titanium? Because titanium, if we look, only goes to, let's see. I will add that in over there. So titanium, we would need for our rocket production, just like our composite panels. So both of those would be going into here. We would need our titanium and composite panels to make our composite cores. And then we would need titanium to make the compact reactors for our asteroid parts. So we don't need that much titanium compared to aluminum. So titanium all goes towards our space program, whereas aluminum can go towards space program. Solar cells, if you want to put down solar for power, so that would be these guys here. So you would be able to generate about 200 kilowatts of power with 120 solar panel monos, and that just needs one aluminum for every 8. So you could, so not too much aluminum here, not too much aluminum for our consumer electronics. We need 3. Our composite panels is going to be the main thing that eats our aluminum. So it's 1-to-1 there. And then 1-to-1 for our chemical fuel. This is 1-to-8. And this is 1-to-2. Meaning all of this would be together in one location. Then this would be separate. So it might be worth it to have our aluminum as more of a separate build that can tie into our titanium build. So that's something to consider. Let's start with titanium. I'll move this stuff over here to the side for now. Same with this. And let's just work through the raw or the main production chain and figure out the number of machines that we need. So kind of that phase 2 approach. So we are making 96 titanium ore crushed. We need 48, so we can support 2 of these guys running off of 1 crusher. This will generate 72 slag. We need 36 each, so 1-to-1. So like that. This takes 12. We need 12, so this is also 1-to-1. This will generate 12 each. We need 24, so this is a 2-to-1 ratio. This, we need 24. You make 48. So we actually need 2 of these, which means all of everything else back here is going to double up. So we need 2 of those to run 1 of these. 1 of these will produce 48 molten titanium. We need 96 molten titanium. So we need to take this whole process and double it again. And that runs 1 of our alloy mixers at full percentage, 100%. And that makes us 108 molten titanium alloy. 108 molten titanium alloy. Let's go 108 divided by 24. So that's 4.5 of these. And then I'll turn that one sideways so I know it's different than the rest. And this would generate 24, so 96. So 108 titanium. If we're looking over here, for this, we would need 120 titanium to launch just a rocket by itself. The supply, we would need 8 every 60 seconds, and then we would need 12 over here every 60 seconds to get a small amount of compact reactors going for our asteroid booster parts. So what I'm thinking is I end up doubling this again. So let's move aluminum out of the way for now. And then I take this. Double this. And then that means I can double this over here. And now I can get 9 machines of titanium producing. So 9 times 24, so 216 titanium ore being produced. And that would be all the machines I need to make that run for the moment. All the basic machines, not including the byproduct stuff that we are dealing with. Let's look at aluminum now. because each one of these needs molten aluminum, 12 each, so 24 total. So technically I would only need to run one of these at full out to make enough titanium. Same with the arc furnace. I could run just 24 aluminum scrap to make the molten aluminum to run our titanium production. I think having a priority to use our aluminum scrap is going to be good because we need to do something with our recyclables. But the only way we'll get aluminum scrap is going to be from the consumer electronics that we feed to our settlement. So we will only get a small amount of aluminum back in recycling depending on our research, as well as what level of edicts we are using for recycling. So we could get up to about 40%. But that's not going to be enough aluminum scrap just by itself running, I don't think. So instead of doing that, we'll plan for it and use the aluminum scrap if it's available, and then have that as the priority going out to molten alumina for our alloy mixers. But I don't think relying on that is going to be a good idea. So I think we will plan around our aluminum. So let's start looking at that process and see kind of what ratios make sense. So we are making 72 bauxite powder. We need 72, so 1 to 1 again. This is 36. We need 36, so 1 to 1 as well. And then this is 24. We need 24, so 1 to 1. And then this is 24. We need 24, so 1 to 1 as well. So that's one thing to consider. All of this would just be a 1 to 1 straight shot through. So pretty simple build there. The next option would be looking at our red mud. We are making 36 red mud. We need 2 of our acetylene tanks to process that. So let's set up both recipes here, and then we can just copy that. And it looks like we have 2 inputs, but 3 different liquids. So that's where we would need to consider how we are going to process this stuff. In my case, I think I want to actually use the acid build to get some of that iron ore crushed. So let's do that. Let's plan on that then, which means I don't need seawater in this build anymore. So there's that. This one, we just need the fuel gas, carbon dioxide. Yeah, all of that's fine. So it's basically 2 of these to 1 of these. And then that would generate me up to 48 aluminum. So 1 of those would go to our titanium to run our titanium full out. 1 of these, and that would give me only 24 aluminum out. I don't think 24 aluminum out is going to be enough. So let's look at what our biggest limiting factor is, and be on the logistical side. So it's going to be our bauxite in. So 72. Our belt has a max speed of 42. Or 450, excuse me. So 72 is what we need to run a crusher. So we can support 6 1/4 crushers per belt of bauxite coming in. So if we plan around 6 of these guys, let's make this a little bit more compact. So we do something like this, like that. Let's just get rid of this guy here. So we'll make this a little bit more compact. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be a pretty much a full belt of material coming in for bauxite. That means I would have 144 aluminum going out. But if we look at our rocket, the composite panel alone is 480 for a rocket 2. And each composite panel you can think of as 1 aluminum. So that's a lot of aluminum that we need to launch just a single rocket. Then we will also need aluminum for our chemical fuel, our composite panels, our solar cells, our consumer electronics. So instead of that, we could plan around 2 belts worth of aluminum, or 2 belts worth of bauxite coming in. So that would be 12 crushers going. That's going to give us 288 aluminum every 60 seconds. And I don't know, even that might not be enough. So what I've done in the past, if I look at my old smelting setups, when it comes to aluminum, yeah, I've just done basic kind of 1 cell at a time. For titanium, I do enough to run 2 sets of titanium, so like this. Yeah, I do like the idea of reusing this molten alumina for this stuff over here and combining all of these into one. I think in this case, let's just go big. We'll make this big for now. Or no, let's plan 1 belt of material, and then when we design the actual blueprint itself, we'll set it up in a way that this can be expanded on separately, meaning I can either expand titanium or aluminum, or both of them, depending on the needs of the factory. So we'll plan with this being like the base kind of core number of machines that we need. Same with titanium. So that would be a full 216 titanium and 144 aluminum. And then we'll set it up so that it's easy to expand from there. So if I am doing that, let's go like this. This would just be over here somewhere. And let's start looking at all of the inputs and outputs. So for now, we'll do outputs back here. We'll do inputs here. And then let's separate it out into the different storages. So we'll do something like that. Meaning I can go like this and we'll do bauxite. I'll put that with the titanium ore so it's together. Then next to the bauxite, I will also do the aluminum scrap so we don't forget about that. So there's that. So that handles bauxite for all my crushers, the titanium ore for all my crushers. Then we need the brine. Each one of these takes 24 brine. So I have 6 times 24. So I need 144 brine down here. That's going to be 2 of these guys at minimum for the brine here. Or down here. Let's try and squish these guys a little bit closer together. There we go. And then these guys, I'll pull them out so they're a little farther out. And then these guys, yeah, we'll just do something like that. Okay. So we have that brine. So that's the brine that we need for the aluminum section. So let's put that down here because the brine will need to expand as our aluminum expands. If we need more aluminum production, then we're going to need more brine production as well. So not having that linked in with our titanium build should work. So we have all that. The brine that we need over here is strictly for chlorine, if I remember right. So chlorine production is going to be for this guy. Yeah, I don't need chlorine down here. So the amount of chlorine we need is 18 for each one of these, and we have 16 machines needing 18 chlorine each, so 288. So 288 divided by 48, it means I need 6 of these guys. So that's all the chlorine I need just to run all 16 chemical plants for this section. But we are going to get chlorine as a byproduct. So we're going to have 8 machines getting us 12 chlorine each. So that's 96 chlorine, which means I can get rid of 2 of these machines here. Because we are going to have chlorine coming back into the system from these, that's being recycled through the system. So I should be good to run with just 4 chlorine plants, meaning I need 288 brine. And wasn't that the same that I needed over here? 24 times 6. Oh, 144. Okay. So 72 times 4, 288 brine. 288 brine divided by 96. That's going to be 3 of these guys to produce all the brine we need for our chlorine. So that handles all of that stuff. The next one would be steam. So I need 3 for each of these, and there is also 16 of them. So 3 times 16, so 48. So that's going to be 1 of our fuel gas boilers running. So that handles the steam input here. For here, we need salt. So 96 salt as input. Make sure we have salt over here. We do. Okay. We have our graphite input already. Water is already accounted for, correct? Yep. So that's good there. Next, let's look at our production of molten iron. So we have 16 machines producing 12 molten iron each. So 192 divided by 48. So we need 4 oxygen furnaces. Which also means that we need 2 air separators. And that means we will need 4 of our steel. So we'll do something like that. and like that. Probably separate these out for now. So that's everything we need to run all of the steel coming from the molten iron here. So we'll leave this down here. Next up, should be, I think, everything now. Except for, yeah, our graphite we'll save for the end. We're not going to worry about our electric furnace. We'll skip that section. Our exhaust scrubbing. Let's look at how much exhaust we are making. So 36 exhaust from there. And 6 exhaust from here. And that should be it. And then we have 4 things of 36 over here. So we have 16, 20 machines making 36 exhaust each. So that's 720 exhaust. Plus the, let's see, 6 exhaust from each one of these. So we have 4 of those. So that's another 24 exhaust. So 720 plus 24. So 744 is our current exhaust demand. And nothing else is making exhaust over here. That's fine. For exhaust, we can do 480. So 744 divided by 480. So 1.5 basically. So we'll want 2 exhaust scrubbers over here to keep up with all the exhaust that we are making. The next one is going to be the steam low. Let's figure out how much of that we are producing. So we have 16 at 6 times each, or 20 at 6 each. Anything else that is going to make steam low? Nope. So 20 of them at 6 each. So that's 120 steam low. That means we would need 2 of these towers to handle all the steam low. We'll only need 1 smokestack as a backup in case this ever backs up. And then for thermal desalinators, we will process 24 each. So 120 divided by 24, that's 5. So 5 thermal desalinators, but we didn't take into account the steam low coming from here. So this is another 96 at most. So that's going to be 1 more cooling tower. And then each one of these is 24. So another 4 of these guys here. Which means we'll have 9 thermal desalinators at 24 each. So we're going to make 216 brine. If we come back to our brine numbers over here, 72 times 4, so 288. So we'll do 288 minus 288 minus 9 times 24. So we'll have 72 leftover brine to work with. So we might hit a point that we don't need to run our brine mixers. For startup, we most likely will. So that should be fine there. We'll have plenty of water production over here. Yeah, 72 times 9. So we're going to be generating 648 water potentially just from using the steam low. The steam depleted, we have 3 coming out of each one of these, and there's 16 of them. So that's going to be 48. 48 steam low means we just need 1 cooling tower. Also means we only need 1 smokestack. And we can support 4 of these thermal desalinators. Each one uses 24, actually just 2 of them. So each one uses 24, we're only making 48. So we'll have 12 more brine and 66 more water coming in. Which also means we need seawater as an input. So let's move that over here. So seawater, we will potentially have our water output, our brine output, slag, sulfur from our exhaust scrubbing, slag from multiple different things. Sulfur, exhaust scrubbing, graphite production in. Okay, so that handles all of that. Now the chemical plant, every 144 carbon dioxide, we need a graphite. So the carbon dioxide coming off of here, 192 times 2, so that's 384. 384 divided by 144. So 2.67, so we need 3 of these just to handle the exhaust scrubbing. Not including the carbon dioxide that we will get from all of this production. So 16 times 12 carbon dioxide, 192. So another one here. And we can check our math. So let's do some a little bit more advanced here with the calculator. So we have 2 exhaust scrubbers, each making 192. So 192 times 2, so that's 384. And then we are also adding in all of the carbon dioxide that we are producing from our chemical plants. So that's going to be 16 times 12. And we'll close those parentheses. So that gets us 576. Is there anything else that is making carbon dioxide? Not in our blueprint here, or our buildings here, but we do have one over here making an additional 72. So we will want to add that. And we put all of those in parentheses and then divide that by 144. So now we know we need 4.5 of these chemical plants. To run all the carbon dioxide, making all the graphite. And we know 4.5 times 6, so we're going to get 27 graphite of production being recycled through this, and we need 3 for each one of our arc furnaces. So we have 20 of those, so that's going to be 60. So yeah, we'll be eating through all this carbon dioxide, pushing all that, making all that graphite, and using that graphite in the arc furnaces, which will help with our air pollution on the island. So recycling all of that and keeping the air pollution low. And that should be everything we need over here to run titanium by itself, except for the aluminum production. So aluminum, let's pull these down, make some room. So we have bauxite input, so we have that taken care of. We need our brine. We already have that taken care of over here. Then we need our acid production. So let's put that with our other mixers. Each one of these needs 12, and we have 12 of these, so 144 acid. So that's going to be 2 mixers making all the acid that we need. We will need a fuel gas input, which we don't have over here, so let's add that in. Fuel gas. Let's see, red mud. We need limestone. Do we have limestone already accounted for? We do not. So I forgot to add that as part of this over here. So limestone. The iron ore crushed. We have 2, 4, 6. So we have 12 of these. 12 times 4 is 48. 48 iron ore crushed. We'll use a arc furnace again. So 48 iron ore crushed will go into 1 arc furnace, making 48 molten iron. So we will have 1 of these systems over here. So like that. And that will make take all this iron ore crushed and give us an additional 48, or no, not 48, 24 steel. We only need 1 of these. And then we have a little bit of oxygen production being overproduced, so that's fine. We have our graphite, the carbon dioxide that we are getting from over here now. Let's see. So each one of these produces 6. We have 6 of that, so that's 36 more. And then 18 times 6 is 108. 108 plus 36, 144. 144 is exactly 1 graphite machine. So we can actually run all of the carbon dioxide here to 1 graphite machine, and that will then be recycled in because we need 6 just to run 1 aluminum cell anyways. So that's fine right there. That's good. We have all the way up to our aluminum cells, good. And then the metal caster is super simple. Yeah, just 1 input, 1 output. So that's fine. Speaking of outputs, let's look over here. So we are going to have an output of steel, an output of, let's see, titanium alloy, and a output of aluminum. So those are going to be our 3 outputs. We'll also have brine possibly, as well as water, slag, and sulfur. And I think that should be it. Let's double check everything. Using the graphite, that's fine. This is, yeah, just more slag. One thing we will want to add in, so we could potentially make up to 24 sulfur. So sulfur, one thing we can do to get rid of it is take a mixer. So 60 sulfur, which means, yeah, we'll put it in the build itself. It's a little overkill because this can run or support up to 5 exhaust scrubbers. So a little overkill in this situation, but we can take that sulfur, mix it with some limestone, and just turn it into slag. That way our sulfur doesn't back up, causing our exhaust scrubbing to stop, which would in turn stop all of our exhaust. So we'd stop making titanium slag or molten titanium. The other thing we need to consider is, do we have anything over here making exhaust? No, we do not. Okay. Well, actually, just this. So that would be 12 and 36. So that's 48 exhaust. So 48 more exhaust. We are using half over here when it comes to, I think, the exhaust here on our exhaust scrubbing. So we can connect our exhaust into the exhaust from our steel production here into our exhaust scrubbing over here for our titanium. So that should be fine to hook those together. So we have all of this now. So now would come the process of actually designing this. So let me work on this, and then I'll bring you guys back here in a moment when I have an kind of rough idea of what I want to do, and then we'll talk about it. So I'll see you guys here in one moment. Okay, quick update. Bringing you back so you can kind of see what I've been working on. So got this so far where I have the ore crushers over here for the titanium ore at the kind of start of my blueprint here on the right hand side, and I'm moving towards the left. And playing around with this is kind of what I got so far at the moment, but I'm not liking the way this is turning out. So I'm thinking of doing something a little bit different where instead of having all these machines kind of like this and feeding all the inputs in between all the buildings, trying to bring everything through, like I still have steam I need to account for, all this steam, the salt, trying to get my molten channels through everything. I have steel production way down here at the end because I'm dealing with molten iron here at this section. I got to bring graphite from this section out to this belt to these buildings, but then I also need to bring it all the way out to this building up here. So I'm not really liking the way this is turning out, and looks similar to other titanium builds I've done. So I'll put down this guy here so we can kind of see. So it's turning somewhat similar where I have my steel production here in the middle, all my titanium ore, all my arc furnaces for making the titanium slag into all of the chemical plants, distillations, more chemical plants, and then finally my ending arc furnaces to make the titanium, molten titanium, as well as the chlorine. It's looking a little similar to this, and I want to try something a little bit different. So I'll play around with this some more and then bring you guys back once I have another update. All right, we are back with the next update. So I got a basic design started to hook everything up, but then I ran into some issues. So let's talk about that. So I was thinking of having all of my titanium ore and bauxite coming through here on this line, going to their respective crushers. And I marked out here in the tile the 6 tiles that we have available for this blueprint and where we are going to put it in the base. So looking at this, I got enough room here. But I ran into this issue with the actual aluminum, what are these called? Aluminum cells. So if I want to place this and not take up more room than is available, I actually need to move all of this over by at least 1. So that's one issue I ran into. The other issue was it was starting to get a little complicated in here for moving all of our items through. I was thinking this idea of having all of my arc furnaces down this line here, but then I completely forgot about the arc furnace I need for the iron ore crushed, so I had to try and squeeze it in over here, which I was able to do, but then This is just becoming more and more of a mess. So I think I am going to kind of redesign this. So I'll bring you guys back for update 3. I think I got something I am pretty happy with for the moment. So let's take a look at what I came up with. So starting here on the left hand side, we have our limestone in, our slag out, our sulfur in, our bauxite and titanium. That goes into our crushers here. So most of these are all titanium crushers, and then there's one bauxite crusher here. We have our exhaust scrubbing because I could fit it in right here, as well as our excess sulfur to slag recipe and our acid production. And then right next to that, because I could fit it in, was our settling tanks, just 2 of them to run the red mud recipe with the acid. In front of that is our arc furnaces. This is what's producing all of our titanium slag. Let's see if we can turn this on so it's a little easier to see. So we got 16 of our arc furnaces here running titanium slag. Then we have, let's see, 1 running the iron ore crushed to make the molten iron. That is coming from our settling tanks. And then we have our 4 furnaces set up for the titanium sponge, making our molten titanium. Directly in front of our arc furnaces, we have our chemical plants that are doing the titanium slag and chlorine and graphite recipe to make our titanium chloride. So those are directly in front. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, so we have 16 of these chemical plants all the way down through here. And doing all the belt work on this took forever, so saving you the trouble on that. But going from here, we start breaking into our distillation stage. So that's taking our impure titanium chloride and purifying it and making it pure. So I set up this block here. So it's 8 and 8, so 16 total, and it's a little 4x4 system is how it works. Let's see. I can copy, paste this, and show you. Actually, it'd be easier just to build it. So I do the titanium chloride on one side, the pure stuff on the other, steam on the outside, the depleted steam on the middle, and then I just rotate that, and that creates a little 4x4 blueprint, and then we can link them together in this configuration. Oops, that one's a little off. There we go. And so these are just in this configuration right here. And that's what all these different belts are doing, and pipes, just pulling everything out and over. And then I have our 8 chemical plants taking that pure titanium chloride, mixing it with some salt, and generating the titanium sponge. And then right above that, I have the electrolyzers making the chlorine. And all of the chlorine that comes as a byproduct from our chemical plants from the titanium chloride pure goes into a balancer that is down here, with the priority input being from those processes before we start using the chlorine that we are generating from our brine. So all of that will go into a storage tank, where it will then get fed back into the system to our chemical plants with the titanium slag, and starting that whole process over and starting that loop. Next to that, I put in our air separators to make all of our oxygen that we need for our furnaces for the steel. Then below that, I have the brine mixers. And then above that, I was able to sneak in the chemical plant to make the hydrated alumina, as well as the rotary kiln to make the hydrated alumina, or turn that into alumina. I put that over here on this section because our fuel gas input is right over here to our gas boiler using the fuel gas recipe. So it just kind of made sense to put this over here with it. And then we have this giant belt that takes it all the way through the whole build over here. So we're back to our titanium sponge production, making our molten titanium. And then right in the middle of that system, we have our aluminum cell, making the molten alumina that we need to run our alloy mixers. And the reason I had to put this guy kind of awkwardly here in the middle is I needed to belt the molten channels around everything, because you can't lift these up, so you can't have your molten channels cross each other. And so your alumina naturally ends up being in the middle of your titanium furnaces. So some ways I've done it before in the past is I just run the molten channel between the arc furnaces. That way all the channels come out on the same end. But this case, I just put this directly in front of the arc furnaces. And then I have the molten channel for the titanium here going all the way around to this alloy mixer. So these two on the end here run the alloy mixer on the left, and then these two on this side. These two here combine their molten channel in and run to this alloy mixer here on the right hand side. And then all of that molten titanium alloy is pulled together into these molten balancers and then pushed into all the cooled casters with their priority outputs. That way everything should run at 100%. And that goes all the way down, so we have 9 of them total, which means we will have an output of 216 titanium alloy. And then going on from there, to account for the aluminum, so basically it's... Let's see if there's a good way of doing this. So it's basically most of this section here is all just titanium, except for these crushers. These 6 crushers here are for our aluminum production. So these all go out to our chemical plants over here to create that hydrated alumina. I have the settling tanks underneath below those. So that takes in all of the red mud, mixes it with acid, which our acid mixers are right here next to it, and some limestone, and that generates us the slag as well as the iron ore crushed. The iron ore crushed comes out on this belt here, jumps up a level, and goes directly into this arc furnace here, arc furnace 2, set to the iron ore crush recipe. And this should run at 100%. I can handle all the iron ore crush that is created. And that makes the molten iron that we need for steel. So that just comes over, plugs into a oxygen furnace, and then creates another set of 24 steel out. And then that just ties in with the other steel production from our other oxygen furnaces that we are using, that we are getting the molten iron from as a byproduct of our titanium ore. So all of that goes together, and then our our steel comes out here onto our output belts over on this section of the blueprint. So again, we have our limestone in, our slag out, our sulfur in, our bauxite in, our titanium ore in. Then we have our salt in, our graphite, and our water. That's what these pipes here are for. And then the water and salt, water continues straight on, salt kind of jumps up around and then through over here to this section where it goes down this line right above all of our different steam pipes before it finally jumps back across and then rejoins with water over here. That way the blueprint is tileable. And then on the right hand side, we have our fuel gas in, our aluminum scrap in, and then we have our aluminum out, our steel out, and our titanium alloy out. And then at the very end, we have our seawater in. And we are using that seawater to collect all of the steam depleted as well as the steam low from our furnaces, our arc furnaces, to make a lot of the water and brine that we will use to make into salt as well as feed water back into the system, so we're not using as much water from our main network. And we have 11 thermal desalinators set to steam low and 2 set to the steam depleted recipe, as well as 3 cooling towers set to the steam low and 1 set to depleted steam, with just a basic balancer here where it tries to force the water into the cooling towers. If for whatever reason that backs up, then they will go to the smokestacks to be vented. So that's the water input side, water recycling, reclamation, salt production. That kind of offsets the amount of salt we need, because each one of these processes over here uses 12 and we have 8 of them. So a lot of salt being used, as well as a lot of brine being produced. But this is the main kind of titanium core part of the build. And then over here, so from our exhaust scrubbing, we have our carbon dioxide out, and I've ran 2 pipes off this balancer, so it will try to send the carbon dioxide to get created into graphite. If that backs up for whatever reason, then we have a smokestack here, so it can vent all of the carbon dioxide and keep our exhaust scrubbing running. But these 2 pipes just follow across, jump through, kind of spaghetti their way through to this balancer, where it just has a priority output to most of these chemical plants here. There's 5 of them, and then there's one other one here on the side. So 6 chemical plants total to generate the graphite. The aluminum side, so talked about the chemical plants, the settling tanks, as well as the arc furnace for making that molten iron. Directly in front of the chemical plants that create the hydrated alumina, we have our rotary kilns, taking that fuel gas in and creating the alumina. And then from there, we have our alumina going to our 6 different aluminum cells. So those cells all come out in different directions. In this case, we have 2 rotary kilns powering these 2 aluminum cells, and then the other 4 are all linked together on one belt that comes in on the back side here and plugs into our aluminum cells. And then all of that molten alumina is transported over to our metal casters, where we have a channel here, or a molten balancer, to balance everything out. That way everything can run at 100%, and then it feeds all the metal casters. So we have 6 of them total, making all the aluminum. I think it's 144 aluminum. Yep, 144 aluminum. And then we also have our aluminum recycling, so we can pull directly from the input belt of scrap aluminum with a priority out that will feed into 4 arc furnaces. Those 4 arc furnaces will generate, what is it? 192 molten alumina, which means we need 8 metal casters to process all that aluminum potentially. And then all of that aluminum feeds together into a balancer here, with the priority coming from our scrap aluminum. So we use that first before we make any more aluminum, just as the recycling for our island goes. But with this process, we should be making 216 titanium, 144 aluminum, and then about 125 or 130 steel as an output. And I'll get all those numbers together when I do make the blueprint and make it available for my YouTube members. But with this process, we should be able to easily expand. Let's see. So this should tile without too big of an issue. And we can see that there's some things that we might need to expand, just some extra pipes or belts on the outside. But we can see everything turns green on each side. So it would connect together. There's plenty of space available. So that works for us. And then the other thing is I created this little blueprint here, or tile set. So we have our 6 tiles for our space consideration on the main playthrough island. And as you can see, we actually have a little bit of extra room on each side. So when I do place this down on the island, I'll make sure to leave some wiggle room on each side, and that's going to be there for running additional belts. So say we need a 3rd belt of bauxite or titanium eventually, stuff like that, then it's easy to run those belts down and connect them into the next blueprint that you would place. And then everything has its own water handling within the blueprint, as well as all of its own exhaust scrubbing. So we would just need to supply these inputs and outputs that I've laid out here. But let's look at it running. So I've copied this over and I've been letting it run for a while now, I think over 100 years. Just so I could get those production numbers and see what everything's using. But in the case of this blueprint, I think the limiting factor is going to probably be your salt and water, surprisingly. So your water, you're using about 278 water in, and that's including all this water that's being produced. So if we look at our production figures and look at the breakdowns, we can see that we are producing about 690-ish water, 678, 690, and we are using 944. So that's what this number is. So that's how much we need from our system to keep everything going. And then salt is pretty crazy. So we're generating about 27, 34, 24, 28. So depending on the brine and everything, we need 156 salt. It's pretty crazy how much salt we need to keep titanium running. Fuel gas is another one, 114 fuel gas. That's pretty crazy. And then sulfur, we need about 8 sulfur in. So not too much because we are using that recycling. And the way I am accomplishing that is from our exhaust scrubbers. I have a priority out to our acid production. And then from there, I have another balancer with a priority out to our input belt with a priority in on that balancer. So this belt comes from our island production. And then this is the internal production being carried up on this lift. And so we prioritize the sulfur that we are making. Otherwise, our sulfur requirements would be that full 28 for this blueprint versus just 8. The other consideration would be slag. Just one of these blueprints running is creating 340 slag. So something to consider. In preparation for that, on this blueprint here that I'll be making the blueprint from, I already included a second slag belt, just because if we do ever expand it, that's going to be something that you need to add. So started that process a little bit, thinking ahead. But we can see everything's running 100%. We are getting our full 216 titanium, our 144 aluminum out, about 120, 128 steel. Let's see what it says over here. So it says our annual throughput is about 124. So 124 steel is what this will produce. 216 titanium, 144 aluminum. And then, we need 114 fuel gas and about 650 seawater. And then for salt, we need about 125 salt in. The other thing on this blueprint is graphite. That might be a limiting factor for you as well, because you need 122 graphite in. We're using about 160 at peak. for graphite, and we're only making about 33 on hand at any time for each blueprint. So a lot of your graphite production on your base is going to be directed towards this production chain. And that's just from all of these different arc furnaces. And we can only make titanium slag in an arc furnace 2. So there's no way to kind of get around that graphite requirement by trying to use a blast furnace. The other limiting factor is going to be power. So right now we are using about 245, 250 megawatts of power. In consideration of that, it's pretty much half of my nuclear blueprint power that is generated from my most recent nuclear blueprint. Pretty much about half of your power use is going to be going to titanium alone, all by itself. So this is going to be a very power intensive process. And a lot of that is those aluminum cells, 56 megawatts. Those arc furnace 2s are the main concern. 126 megawatts of power just for those arc furnaces. So a lot of power required to make all this titanium and aluminum, which makes sense, but something to consider. But this is the blueprint I came up with after working on it. We can see a previous version here. I think I showed it in one of the little mini updates. You can kind of see the idea I was going for, where I was going to feed everything down here through the middle, and I was trying to incorporate it so that I could expand aluminum and titanium separately. But that was becoming a little too complicated for my liking, as well as the space constraints here that I'm working with. It was becoming a little too much to be able to separate those systems out and make them into like individual like modular expansions. So that's why I ended up scrapping this idea and going to this one where it combines everything into one. And if I need more aluminum, what I'd do is just paste down this blueprint and then pause all the arc furnaces and crushers that go towards titanium and just run the aluminum side of this. Because these systems are kind of interconnected together when it comes to the exhaust scrubbing, as well as, what else would it be? Yeah, exhaust scrubbing is going to be an interconnected system. The brine is separated out. The acid is separated out. So that wouldn't be too big of a deal. The molten iron is separated. So this is the oxygen furnace for making the steel that comes from aluminum. So that wouldn't be too bad. So yeah, it'd just be for the exhaust scrubbing as well as the water side of it, disposing of that steam. But final closing thoughts. When it comes to designing these big, complicated blueprints with recipes with lots of intermediate steps and a lot of things to take into consideration, my advice would be just take your time with it. Don't be afraid to just put something down, try it out, see how it's looking, and don't be afraid to kind of abandon that idea and then start over from scratch, learning the stuff that you learned as you were trying to place and hook everything together. I think overall this blueprint took me about 6 hours of running all the different belts as well as testing it to make sure everything's running at 100% over I think we're up maybe 200 or 300 years in game. So it takes time to make these big kind of compact blueprints, especially when you have space consideration that you are working around, as well as combining two of these different processes together. One thing I did forget to mention is why I am combining these processes, and that's because When you are making titanium, you need aluminum anyways, so you have to make aluminum part of this process anyways, so that's why I am making additional aluminum on site, because all of the materials I would need are here already. So being able to expand this in the future would be relatively easy. I can just put down another blueprint. It is long. I think we're pretty much 2 big tiles wide, but it does fit within that 6 tile space that I need. And if you remember looking at my island, I had plenty of length to put down blueprints. It was just the width that was concerning. But I think I will end it there. So thank you so much for hanging out and watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and this little mini series on how to design these production chains. And if you want to, you can check out my Let's Play series of Captain of Industry Season 2, where I'll be putting this blueprint down in the very next episode. So I think it's episode 15. But thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something from it, and let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.